Fred was a young scientist looking for a dream job. His favorite professor, Mr. Ford, always worked in his lab alone. But one day, he made an exception and invited Fred to assist him in a secret research project. When Fred arrived at the lab, he found Mr. Ford unconscious on the floor. His colleagues said that halfway through his latest experiment, the lights went out. James, Dylan, and Ashley were nearby. James said he was Mr. Ford's lab assistant. When the lights went out, it was too dark to see what was happening. Dylan said he'd been looking through some documents in his office nearby. And Ashley said she'd been cleaning the lab. Who's lying? James, Mr. Ford always worked alone. Fred was his first and only assistant. When Mr. Ford got better, he offered Fred a job in a big company making robotic dogs. But first, Fred had to do one logical task. There are 3 drawers with pills in Mr. Ford's lab. One of them contains only blue pills, another only red pills, and the third drawer has both blue and red pills. All the boxes are labeled incorrectly. Fred can only take one pill from one of the drawers to find out the color of the pills in each drawer. How can he do that? To label the drawers correctly, Fred should take a pill from the drawer that supposedly contains both blue and red pills. Since we know that all labels are incorrect, this drawer must contain either only red pills or only blue pills. If Fred finds a red pill, he should label that drawer as red. Then change the name on the red drawer to blue, and label the remaining drawer as red and blue. Fred texted his girlfriend Sarah to tell her the good news about his new job. He asked her out for dinner, but she answered, "Hey, I woke up with the flu. I don't want to infect you. I'd rather stay at home and rest." Fred video called her and realized she was lying as soon as she answered the call. How did the guy understand it? Look at her bed. It seems that she's getting ready to go out tonight. Also, why would she wear high heels if she wanted to stay at home? Fred was very upset and decided to follow Sarah. He saw her eating dinner with another man in a fancy restaurant. Fred approached their table and exclaimed, "Sarah, who's this man?" Sarah said he was her father. Fred took a look at the man and believed her. Why? They have the same rare eye color and similar moles under their right eyes. On the first day of work, Fred came to his office. It was full of guard robotic dogs. They were taught to react to every movement. Suddenly, the dogs went out of control. They tore the lab down. Luckily, Fred managed to hide. He needed to escape as soon as possible. Fred noticed 3 objects: a bat, a water gun, and a small ball. Which object should he use to escape? He could choose the bat to fight the dogs, but there are too many of them. He could pick the water gun, but it's small and pretty much useless. But this small ball is the right choice. It'll distract the dogs, and Fred will be able to escape. After that unfortunate incident with the robotic dogs, Fred went to another job interview. He decided to become a hotel manager. The hotel owner asked Fred to crack a riddle. He wanted to check his logical skills. What's black when you get it, red when you use it, and white when you're through with it? Fred nailed the riddle and got the job. What did he answer? Charcoal. Fred started his work. A new guest arrived. This guest was very unusual because it was a giraffe. Can you help Fred find the best room for this animal? For the giraffe, the best option is the room with the larger door. Another hotel guest, Shelley, called Fred from her room. She was crying. Someone had stolen her expensive dress. She needed it for a birthday party. Shelley was sure it was one of the hotel employees. Who else could get it without damaging the lock? What do you think? Who stole the dress? There's a silver bead by the bed. The criminal didn't notice they had dropped it during the heist. And this maid has a bracelet with the same beads. Fred went to check the laundry room. He found his colleague Ashley unconscious on the floor. The police examined the crime scene and interviewed people who had been to the laundry room the night before. Alice said, "I came at 7:30 p.m. There were no other people in the laundry. When I was about to leave, another woman came in." Helen said, "I came there at 9:15 p.m. There was nothing special about that day. I just washed my clothes and left." And Sally said, "I'm blind. I don't know if there was anybody in that room when I was inside." Who's the criminal? Helen. Trying to protect herself, Ashley pulled an earring out of her ear. Next day, Fred faced another crime at work. Someone had stolen some food supplies from the warehouse at night. The stockman called Fred first thing in the morning. "Look at these two pictures of the warehouse. Can you spot which food had been stolen?" Right, and some more. Fred questioned 3 employees who had worked the night shift. Alice said, "I was preparing a monthly report in my office. I never go to the warehouse anyway." Dan said, "I was at the register all night. There were lots of customers. I wouldn't have had time to go to the warehouse." And Jenny said, "I was flipping burgers. I didn't leave the kitchen." Who stole the food? Look at the footprints in the warehouse. One set belongs to the stockman, and the other belongs to the thief. The accountant and the cook are females. They wouldn't leave such footprints. It means Dan is lying. He did go to the warehouse. A delivery guy bought 2 paintings to decorate hotel rooms. Fred refused to pay for these pictures and returned them, all because the paintings were supposed to be identical. Can you see 3 differences between them? Here they are. Suddenly, one of the hotel guests ran down from the 2nd floor screaming. She saw a ghost in her room. Fred hurried to the room. Can you help him find the ghost? It's this guy. He's too transparent to be human. 2 brothers, Stan and Chuck, met for a quiet birthday party in the hotel restaurant. The cook asked how many candles she should put on the cake. The birthday guy, Chuck, answered, "When Stan was 6 years old, I was half his age. If Stan is 40 now, how old am I? How many candles should the cook put on the cake?" That's right, 37. Fred had an interesting conversation with one of the guests, Mr. Wilson. It turns out that the man once worked as a NASA scientist. He promised Fred he'd help him join a space program. But first, Fred had to crack one tricky riddle. If there are 7 bears in a room, and each of them hugs the rest of the bears once, and only once, how many bear hugs would we get? Fred said 21 hugs, and it was the correct answer. Mr. Wilson was satisfied and gave Fred a folder with the documents needed for his dream job. Fred left the folder on the table in his office. When he came back, he noticed it was empty. Fred questioned 3 employees. All of them entered his office while he was away. Kelly said, "I took your stapler this morning. Mine was broken. Then I brought it back. I put it on the table, but I didn't touch anything else." The delivery guy who had brought something for Fred said, "I left the box in your office. That's what I was told to do." And Alice said, "I was cleaning your office and your table too, but I didn't take any documents." Fred had a fingerprint kit with him, just in case. He pulled the fingerprints from the table. He also took the fingerprints of the 3 suspects. Can you guess who stole the documents? Kelly. She said that she had only touched the stapler, but her fingerprints are on the folder as well. On the table, there are also Alice's fingerprints, but it's okay because she was cleaning it. Soon, Fred became a member of a space crew. They were originally scheduled to meet with the mothership on the surface of the moon, but due to some mechanical issues, his ship was forced to land 200 miles away from the meeting point. During landing, most of the equipment aboard was damaged. Since the team's survival depends on reaching the mothership, they should only take the most crucial items with them. Below, there are 10 items that are still intact. Fred's task is to rank them according to their importance for reaching the meeting point. Can you help him? These oxygen tanks are the most important element. The crew needs them to survive. The tanks with water should be the second priority. The stellar map is in the third place. Without it, the ship will get lost. The fourth place goes to the food concentrate. The solar-powered FM receiver transmitter should be the fifth. The crew members need them to communicate with the mothership. The nylon rope gets the sixth place. It's useful in scaling cliffs and tying unconscious crew members together. The seventh most important item is the first aid kit. Number 8 is the parachute silk. The ship needs some protection from sunlight. The self-inflating life raft is the 9th, and the signal flares are the last on this list. They can be used to send a distress signal when the mothership is in sight.
Brad has recently downloaded a dating app and found 3 beautiful ladies right away. Fiona is an art dealer from San Francisco. She has never had a serious relationship before, but she would like to settle down. Mary is a vegan, yoga teacher, and human rights enthusiast. She loves French cheese and enjoys watching sunsets on the pier. Betty is a firefighter. In her spare time, she writes songs and performs them with her music band. Brad likes them all equally. Can you give him advice on who he should invite on a real offline date? Look at this wedding picture in Fiona's profile. She's the bride, but she claimed she had never been married. Mary is also a liar. Vegans don't eat cheese, so Brad should text Betty. As soon as Betty received a text from Brad, she ran to the bathroom to get ready for the date. She got her hair done and took out several lipsticks. Betty is a tomboy, which is why she uses makeup very rarely. Can you help her choose the right lipstick for her date? This lipstick is way too old. Look at the date. It was made in 1999 and expired a long time ago. And there's a spider inside this lipstick. Betty should choose the second one. Meanwhile, Brad took a shower and prepared to put on his favorite white shirt. But when he pulled it out of the closet, he discovered that someone had stained it with chocolate. Brad questioned his 3 brothers. Jim said he'd been cooking dinner in the kitchen. He didn't even come into Brad's room that day. Bill said that he entered Brad's room about an hour before to borrow a charger for his phone. And Mike said he'd been partying with his girlfriend all day and had just returned home. Who is lying? Bill. If he borrowed a charger 1 hour ago, why is his phone still at 1%? Brad decided to prank his brother Bill and cut 2 holes in his t-shirt. How many holes does the t-shirt have now? Eight. These 2 holes are cut through the t-shirt. That makes 4 holes in total. Plus, there are 2 holes for the arms, 1 for the head, and 1 at the bottom of the t-shirt. Betty and Brad met in a restaurant. It was love at first sight. A waiter came over and said, "Good evening. What would you like to eat?" Betty answered, "I'd like something that is red, but it can be green at times, and sometimes it's yellow." The waiter cracked her riddle immediately and brought her the food she'd ordered. What was it? An apple. Brad liked the game and offered the waiter 1 more riddle. It can be red and it can be green. It can be black or it can be white. It tastes delicious with other dishes, but not on its own. In a minute, the waiter brought Brad his order. Have you guessed what it was? Pepper. After dinner, Brad and Betty went for a walk in the park. They were so focused on each other that they got completely lost. They began looking for a way out and came to this weird crossroad. There were 4 different roads. Each road had a sign, but the signs had no words. Still, Brad and Betty knew which path to take. What about you? This one. It's the only right hand. 5 months later, Betty moved in with Brad. They shared a family house with Brad's 3 brothers. One day, Betty got a new longboard as a gift for Brad's birthday. It was a surprise, so she locked it in a basement and went to buy some groceries for dinner. When she returned, the longboard wasn't there. She realized that one of the 4 brothers must have pulled a prank on her. Brad said he hadn't seen anything. Jim said he'd noticed the longboard while walking past the basement, but he'd been in a hurry to get to his training. Mike said he had spent the day downstairs baking cookies for his scientific club. And Bill said he'd been on a business trip. Who is behind the mysterious disappearance? Jim. Betty locked the room. It means he couldn't see the longboard unless he broke in. Brad's brothers came home after work and met Brad in the kitchen. The guy was anxious because Betty was missing. The brothers asked him to tell them everything in detail. Brad said, "Well, she made me a birthday cake with ice cream this morning. I wanted to try it, but she said we'd eat it in the evening. We argued a bit. Then I went to work. When I got back, she was gone." As soon as the brothers heard Brad's story, they called him a liar. Why? He said Betty had made the cake in the morning. Then why hasn't the ice cream melted yet? Brad got a job as a chemistry teacher. Wait, who stole his money? Brad found only one person's fingerprints on the wallet, his own. He questioned his 3 colleagues. Math teacher Jennifer said that she'd been having lunch. History teacher Becky said, "I didn't feel well yesterday, so I went home early." And English teacher Sam said that he'd been checking his students' homework in his classroom. Who is the thief? The history teacher. She used gloves to steal the money and then threw them in the trash. Betty and Brad were walking down the street. Suddenly, they met a weird-looking guy. He introduced himself as a magician and asked, "Do you guys want to get rich? Crack this 3-digit code, and the money is yours." He gave them a heavy suitcase with a combination lock and a piece of paper with this riddle. A. 548. In the first line, one number is correct and well placed. B. 530. In the second line, nothing is correct. C. 157. In the third line, 2 numbers are correct but in the wrong places. D. 806. In the fourth line, 1 number is correct but in the wrong place. E. 647. And in the fifth line, 1 number is correct, but in the wrong place. Can you help the guys? You can use different approaches to crack this riddle. The easiest one is to start with statement B. None of these digits are correct. Therefore, we can exclude numbers 5, 3, and 0. In statement C, we're told that 2 numbers are correct, but in the wrong places. We can conclude that numbers 1 and 7 are in the final code, but we still don't know the order. Now let's take a look at statements D and E. In both of them, 1 number is correct, but in the wrong place. We already know that 7 is in the code. It means the remaining digit can't be 6. Then it must be 8. Look again at statement A. Since the correct number is 8, it must also be correctly placed. In statement C, we have 2 correct numbers, but they're in the wrong places. Since the third position in the code is already occupied by 8, we can only have one option. 7 should go first, and 1 should be second. Then the correct code is 718. Brad and Betty opened the suitcase. It had $50 million inside. They quit their jobs and went on vacation right away. They checked into a fancy hotel and went to their room to get some rest after a long, exhausting flight. In the evening, they went downstairs to have dinner in a cute Chinese restaurant. But one of the guests is not human. Can you spot who it is? Take a closer look at this guy's plate. It doesn't look like human food at all. When Betty and Brad returned to their room after the meal, they discovered that all their money and gadgets were gone.
Oh, no.
The hotel security manager asked three guests the same question. What were you doing within the last 2 hours? Dan said that he had spent all evening in the swimming pool area. Courtney said she'd been chilling in her room with her besties and had nothing to do with the robbery. And Henry said he had just returned from a party in another part of the city. Who's the thief? Courtney. The security manager didn't mention any robbery, but she started making excuses straight away. Brad decided to jump with a parachute, but he landed not as successfully as he had expected. As soon as Betty found out about the accident, she rushed to the hospital. In the room, she saw an unconscious person, completely in bandages. She asked a doctor who was passing by, "Sir, please let me in. It's my boyfriend." But the doctor told her that the patient was a woman. Who is right? It's a man. Look at the name tag on his bed. Brad got well pretty quickly, and Becky took him on a romantic trip to an ancient castle. They were walking around the place and taking pictures, but suddenly, all the doors slammed shut. The guys were trapped inside. Brad found a door with a 4-digit combination lock, and Betty found this piece of paper on the floor. Can you help the guys crack the code and escape? The correct code is STOP. Take the first letter of September, the 6th letter of August, the first letter of October, and the second letter of April, and you'll get the word STOP.
Alrighty, it's math o'clock here, and I have a couple of fun riddles for you to solve. Let's start with a cheesy one. Here's a circle. How many sides does the circle have? There are two, the inside and the outside. It was Aviana's birthday, and she went to buy herself an ebook she'd been dreaming about. The ebook and the case cost $150 in total. If the ebook was $100 more expensive than the case, how much did each item cost? Alright, let's say the case cost X. Then, the ebook cost X plus 100. Together, they cost $150. So X, the case, plus X plus 100, the ebook, are equal to 150. Now, solve the equation. 2x's equal to 150 minus 100, or 50. So 1x is equal to 25. So the case cost $25 and the ebook cost $125. Well, that adds up. Now, to celebrate her birthday, Aviana wants to go to the movies. She has two friends whom she wants to take with her. A movie ticket costs $8. What is cheaper? Go to the movies with each friend separately or with the two of them together? Of course, it's cheaper to go with the two of them together. If she goes there 2 times separately with each friend, she'll have to buy a ticket for herself twice, so she'll buy 4 tickets. But if they go together, she will only buy 3 tickets.
Yes!
5 friends met for the first time in 5 years. Each one shook hands with each person in the group, but only once. How many handshakes were made? No handshakes were repeated. Let's see it like this. The first friend shook the hands of the 4 remaining people once. Then the second friend had already shared a handshake with the first person, so they shook hands with 3 more people. The third friend had shaken hands with the first 2, so he shook hands with 2 more people. And then, finally, friends 4 and 5 shook hands too. 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is equal to 10. So there were 10 handshakes. Brinley has to sneak into her mom's computer to delete some emails she had accidentally sent her. Ooh. Mom has a poor memory, so she always has notes with her passcodes. Luckily, the note is right on the desk again. What's the passcode? Every number equals the number of circles in it, so the last number is equal to 3. It's a 5-digit number, so try 82193. Danica and Elora are best friends who live in different parts of town but study in the same college. Every morning they leave their houses at the same time and first meet at a cafe to drink some coffee before classes. Danica goes there by car and Elora goes by bike. When they met, which girl was closer to Elora's home? When they meet, they're in the same spot, so no one is closer than the other one. Mrs. Marshall owns a factory that produces office desks. 4 workers can build 4 desks in 4 hours. If she hires 4 more people, how many desks will 8 workers produce in 8 hours? If 4 workers produce 4 desks in 4 hours, it means that each worker produces 1 desk in 4 hours. So 8 workers will produce 8 desks in 4 hours, or 16 desks in 8 hours. Maya has 4 pens, a blue one, a black one, a red one, and a green one. They lay on the table in some order. Here are some hints. 1. The green one is somewhere in the middle. 2. The blue one is to the left of the black one and to the right of the red one. 3. The red pen is right next to the blue one. So, what's the order of the pens? Green is somewhere in the middle. Since blue has some other colors on both sides of it, it means it's in the middle too. Let's decide which one is where. If the green pen is in position 2, then the blue one takes position 3. We know that the blue one is on the left of the black one, so black takes position 4, and red must be in position 1. But it doesn't fit, because the last condition is that the red and blue ones are next to each other. So let's switch the green and blue. Now blue is right next to red, but is still to the left of black. So the right order is red, blue, green, black. Yvonne cuts 1 baguette into 4 pieces in 12 seconds. How much time will she need to cut the same baguette into 8 pieces? "28 seconds. To cut a baguette into 4 pieces, she must make 3 cuts. If it takes her 12 seconds to make 3 cuts, it means that she makes 1 cut in 4 seconds. So, if she now wants to cut it into 8 pieces, she needs to make 7 cuts. So, 7 cuts, 4 seconds each, would take 28 seconds. Ellery came back home with her term grades. She got all A's but 3, all B's but 4, and all C's but 5. So, how many A's, B's, and C's did she get? Let's start with A's. They are all but 3, so there are 3 B's and C's together, which is either 2 C's and 1 B or 2 B's and 1 C. Let's start with the first option. If it's the case, there are 4 A's and C's. If there are 2 C's, then she has 2 A's too, also. The condition all C's but 5 tells us that if there's 1 B, there must also be 4 A's, not 2. So it can't be. If there are 2 B's and 1 C, then from all B's but 4 and 1 C, there are 3 A's. From all C's but 5 and 2 B, there again must be 3 A's. So he has 3 A's, 2 B's, and 1 C. Nice work, Ellery! You are outside a room with 3 switches in the off position. One of the switches turns on the light bulb in the room. You can turn on as many switches as you want, but you can only walk into the room once. How can you find out which switch turns on the light? Turn 2 random switches on and wait a couple of minutes. Then turn one of them off and walk into the room. If the light is still on, then the controlling switch is the one you left in the on position. If there's no light, touch the light bulb. If it's hot, then the controlling switch is the one you just turned off. If the light bulb is cold, that switch is the one you didn't turn on. Every Sunday, Mrs. Adams gives her daughters pocket money. Half of the whole amount goes to the oldest daughter, Stella. The second sister, Ashley, gets half of the amount Stella gets. Eleanor gets 1/6 of the total amount, and the remaining $10 goes to the youngest daughter, Sierra. How much money does Mrs. Adams give away? Seems like Stella gets 1/2 of the money, Ashley gets half of a half, which is 1/4 of the original sum, and Eleanor gets 1/6. They're all a fraction of 12s. So Ella gets 6 12s, Ashley gets 3 12s, and Eleanor gets 3 12s. Together, it's 11 12s, which means that Sierra gets 1/12, which is $10. So Stella gets $60, Ashley gets $30, Eleanor gets $20, and the whole sum is $120. Hey, if I were Sierra, I would complain. Annabeth is going by train to visit her best friend, Brooke. The train is 500 feet long, and it's moving at a speed of 500 feet a minute, and it's now traveling through a 500-foot-long tunnel. How long will it take for the train to go through the tunnel? When the train goes into the tunnel, it will take exactly 1 minute for its head to reappear on the other side. But the rest of the train should get out of there too. Once the head of the train is out, the back of the train just entered the tunnel, and it'll need another minute to travel through the tunnel. So the train will need 2 minutes in total. An elf hired a fairy to take care of his garden for a week. As a daily payment, the fairy takes 1 inch of a candy cane. The elf has a 7-inch candy cane in one piece, but the fairy wants to be paid every day because fairies don't trust elves. The elf has a knife that can only make 2 cuts. How can he manage? He should make 2 cuts and divide the candy cane into the pieces of 1/7, 2/7, and 4/7. The first day, he'll give her the 1/7 piece. The second day, he'll give her the 2/7 piece, and will take the 1/7 piece back. After the third day, he will give her the 1/7 piece back. After the fourth day, he gets back the 1/7 piece and 2/7 pieces and gives her 1/4/7 piece instead. Then he gives her 1/7. On the sixth day, instead of 1/7, she gets the 2/7 piece, and on the last day, he gives her the final 1/7 piece. Of course, this whole thing goes kablooey if the fairy eats the candy during the week. Well, it's the fairy's grandpa's birthday today. She wants to visit him and bring him birthday candy canes. Her grandpa lives in a different town, and there are 3 gates to cross on the way. At every gate, there is a guard. To cross, the fairy has to pay a fee of half of the candy cane she has, but she gets 1 candy cane back. What's the minimum number of candy canes the fairy should take from home to make sure she arrives at her grandpa's with 2 candy canes for him? She should take just 2. At every gate, she'll have to give away half, which is 1, and she'll be getting that one back. Ooh, tasty! Freddie is one lucky guy. He works at a chocolate factory as a night guard. Once, he was checking the factory as usual. He noticed that someone had stolen several boxes with exclusive chocolate candies. The next morning, Freddie questioned 3 suspects. Jason, a pastry cook, said that he'd finished his shift at 7 p.m. and gone home right away. His wife couldn't confirm that he stayed indoors all night. Harry, a delivery guy, said, "I don't eat chocolate at all. Even the smell of it gives me a severe rash." And Peter, a cleaner, said, "Yesterday I was cleaning the warehouse. I found 1 chocolate candy on the floor and ate it. I'm so sorry. Please don't fire me. Who is the thief? Harry. He's standing in a room with a bowl of melted chocolate without any protection. He would have a rash if his allergy was real. Another working day at the chocolate factory. Jason decided to prank Freddy and covered a raw chicken egg with a layer of chocolate. Then he wrapped it and put it among real chocolate eggs on a tray. When Jason brought the chocolate eggs, Freddy spotted the fake one immediately. Can you figure it out? The real chocolate eggs are hollow inside, so they were rolling all over the tray when Jason was walking. But the raw egg is heavier, and it didn't move much. Well, Freddy decided to pay Jason back. He dressed up as a ghost to scare him. But suddenly, several real ghosts appeared in the room. Can you figure out which of these ghosts is Freddy? This guy over here. He's the only ghost who is not transparent at all. One evening, the factory was celebrating its anniversary. The management organized a party. All employees participated in a karaoke competition. Most of them all sang incredibly well and received gifts and flowers. But only two of the best singers, Nancy and Betsy, made it to the final. They prepared to face each other in one more round. But suddenly, Betsy fell to the floor, unconscious. Doctors claimed that she had been poisoned. But all the participants of the competition had eaten exactly the same food. Besides, the police checked the dishes and they were okay. Can you guess what happened? Someone poisoned Betsy's flowers. Next day, Freddy came to work as usual. He looked around and exclaimed, wait a minute, who's brought a cat to the chocolate factory? No pets are allowed here. Can you see any animals? Here it is. The cat got scared and ran away to another room. Freddy followed it. Can you spot the cat now? It's hiding over there. And again, Freddy failed to catch the cat. It ran out of the building and hid in the garden. Can you help the guy find the cat? The poor animal is over there. Freddy caught the cat and found a small note attached to its collar. It had contact information. Freddy called the cat owner, but no one answered the phone. So, after work, Freddy took the cat and went to the address mentioned in the note. It was a creepy castle. The door was locked and required a password. Can you help Freddy crack the code using this hint? The password is rainbow. A gloomy old man greeted Freddy inside the castle. Freddy expected that he would thank him for bringing the cat back. But the old man began to laugh evilly and locked all the ways out. Then he said, "If you manage to complete 3 tasks I give you, you will get $1 million. But if you fail, you'll stay in my castle forever. Here's the first task. Help me find my glasses among all these vegetables." Can you help Freddy? Here they are. The next task from the old man was to cook a potion and do it in the correct order. He gave Freddy this recipe. Can you help the guy? First of all, you gotta put curry. Then go for blueberries to make the potion look greenish. And finally, add tomatoes to make the potion look brown. As for these vegetables, Freddy doesn't need them. And the third task is to find a book in this messy room. Can you see it? It's half hidden inside the sofa. The old man gave Freddy his money, showed him the exit, and disappeared. But when Freddy tried to leave, he realized that the door was locked. It had a combination lock. Freddy found this mysterious note nearby. He has to get this right or he might stay trapped for a long time. What code will open the door? "2361. Each number corresponds to the number of circles in the first set of numbers. Now, Freddy was free to go. As soon as Freddy got out of the creepy castle, he decided to quit his job and go on a trip around the globe. First of all, he took a flight to Spain. On board the plane, he met Gloria. He asked what country she was from. Instead of answering, Gloria showed him this puzzle. Can you guess the country? That's right, she's from Ireland. Then Gloria asked Freddy what country he was from, and he showed her this puzzle. Can you guess his country? Cuba. Freddy landed in Madrid and went for a walk. He hadn't rented any hotel in advance, so he just wandered around the city, searching for a nice place to stay. Suddenly, Freddy noticed this cute little hotel and entered it. Big mistake. Why? See this zombie in the window? This place doesn't look safe. As soon as Freddy entered the creepy hotel, the door slammed behind his back. The guy saw 3 doors leading to freedom. Venomous spiders were crawling behind the first door. Behind the second door, arrows were flying at head height. And behind the third door, there was a black hole. Which door should Freddy choose? Can you help him escape? He should choose the second door. He can crawl under the arrows. After his adventure, Freddy decided to have lunch in the local cafe. But something's definitely wrong here. Can you figure out what it is? Look at this window. The view of the street is upside down. The waiter came over to Freddy to get his order. But suddenly, a woman at the next table began to shout, "Help me! Someone has put cockroaches in my soup!" The cafe manager questioned 3 suspects. The cook said that he had prepared the soup as usual. It was okay when he passed the dish to the waiter. The waiter said he hadn't touched the soup. He just served it to the woman and switched to another client, Freddy. The woman's husband said, "I wasn't there when my wife got the soup. I was washing my hands in the bathroom." Can you tell who's guilty? No one. Take a look at the ceiling. The cockroaches crawled out of the ventilation and several of them fell into the lady's soup. Freddy used a special app to rent a luxury apartment in Madrid. He found 3 options that he really liked. Mariana offered a cozy 2-story studio with a beautiful view. Diego had a penthouse near a park. And Camilla offered a high-tech villa. Which option should Freddy choose? This penthouse has a cracked glass roof, which is extremely unsafe. As for the third option, see the Eiffel Tower? Camilla's high-tech villa is in Paris, not in Madrid. So, Freddy should choose the first studio. Freddy invited Mariana for a walk in the park. They walked a lot and got very tired. They decided to lie down on the grass and rest. Freddy woke up an hour later. Mariana had disappeared. Freddy started looking for her. Half an hour later, he fell into a big pit. It began to rain. The guy realized that the pit was going to get flooded. That was a big problem. Freddy couldn't swim. He found some stuff in the pit: a rope, a ball, and a bucket. How can Freddy get out? The ball will float up to the surface, and so will Freddy if he holds on to it. Freddy kept looking for Mariana. He came across a wizard's castle. The wizard had caught the girl and turned her into a frog. Freddy had to help her. The guy and the Mariana the frog found the wizard's book of potions. It described all the necessary antidotes. But first, the guys needed to understand which potion the wizard had used on Mariana. Freddy looked through the book. The first recipe included a slice of pumpkin, a slice of green apple, an orange wedge, and half a kiwi. The second recipe required a chamomile petal, 3 garlic cloves, and half of a red apple. The third potion should contain an orange wedge, a garlic clove, a banana peel, and a chamomile petal. Which potion did the wizard use? Take a look at the ingredients on the shelves. They only match the third recipe. Freddy helped Mariana turn back into a human. The wizard got very angry and teleported Freddy to jail. The guy was desperate. He had no idea how to escape. Suddenly, a creepy man opened the door and said, "Come on, I'm going to help you escape." Freddy followed him, but he slipped, fell to the floor, and hit his head. Freddy woke up in a pit. He didn't remember how he got there. If he went to the left, he would end up in the bathroom. If he went to the right, he would have to crawl through a tunnel filled with toxic waste that was leading outside. Which way should he choose? Freddy should go to the right. If he chooses the left corridor, he will end up in jail again. Look, this bathroom is on the territory of the jail. Freddy escaped, took a shower, and called Mariana right away. The wizard picked up the phone and said, "I have created enough evil clones of Mariana. I don't need her anymore. You can take her home now." Freddy rushed back to the wizard's castle and saw 4 Marianas. Can you help him find the real girl? This Mariana has claws instead of nails. She looks like a werewolf. This one has very sharp teeth and ears. She's probably a vampire. This lady has scales on her face. She's a mermaid. So the real Mariana is over there.